Hey guys, it's me, Kara. So I did a couple of videos days ago. Sorry, I just woke up this morning. I'm about to take a shower, but I decided to put this on because I'm gonna take out my hair because it's been 2 weeks and there's quite a few new growth. And plus, I'm gonna get my hair done again in a couple of weeks, and it's gonna be a more intricate hairstyle. It's gonna be cornrows, but the way it's designed, it's gonna be box braids to here, and it's gonna have a lot of beads on it. It's gonna be very pretty. Anyway, this whole year, especially the past several months, a lot of ridiculous stuff have gone on, and I have not had a time to make videos about these incidents, but I do want to say a few things briefly. So, as we know, there has been a lot of tragedies surrounding Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, the Caribbean countries, Las Vegas, the massacres and the floods and the death tolls rising, the earthquake in Mexico. So much tragedy going on, and I don't like to be the person to say, "Oh my God, it's an omen, oh my God," but I feel at least with the massacre at the Texas church last week, I feel that it's an omen. I feel that the murderer did it because he is a white supremacist. Now, it's not confirmed, but I feel like, of course, a white man and you just randomly going up in a church and shooting a bunch of people. Now, I believe that the majority of the members were white, just like at the Las Vegas concert. The majority of the victims were white. They were at a country concert. But still, if you're a white supremacist, you're going to kill anybody. It doesn't matter if you're going to kill your own people. You want to kill people to set an example, to set fear. And that's just how it is. And I feel like we are getting close to domestic terrorism, as it has been happening for the past 200 years in the US. But I feel like since this whole Trump election, it's not getting any better. People feel safer to do horrible things to others. And we have three massacres in a row. Three massacres, I believe. There was Las Vegas. There was a Charlottesville situation where someone ran over a bunch of protesters because they were protesting a neo-Nazi taking back their country protest. So it was a counter protest, and then the shooting in Texas, and I'm sure there was other hate acts in this country, and it just does not look good. And aside from that, with the whole Texas flooding and the Florida flooding, a lot of people have been showing their asses as well. And it reminded me back to 2005 when we had Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. And a lot of people were saying, look at these people stealing, look at these looters, how dare these people, still at a time like this, even though they are starving, they are thirsty, they don't have any supplies, and you can't resell damaged items anyway, especially during a flood or disaster. So it's just a bunch of classism, a bunch of anti-blackness, because a lot of the communities affected were indeed black. Then you have a man named Joel Osteen, who is a leader of a mega church with about several thousand members, and he won't let people in his church during the flooding because I don't know what was going on in his mind. He probably thought, no, this is a nice church. I don't want these dirty refugees in here. I don't know why, if you live in my area, when something like this happens, or even if people are poor and they need food, we let them in. We say, oh, you hungry? You need something? Well, come on in. A lot of African Americans have churches where we have a certain day or a certain time where we allow homeless people to come in and eat or to even sleep. My aunt and uncle do this thing every Christmas where they allow people who don't have homes or who don't have a lot of family to have dinner with their family. I know so many Christians that do that. So I feel for Joel Osteen to do such a thing, that was fake. I'm not someone that considers myself to be a totally devout Christian, but I consider myself spiritual. I do believe that there's a possibility that there is a God. I believe that, I believe in Jesus and all of that, but you won't see me, try to shove it down somebody's throat. You know, a lot of people think differently. I can see myself more as an agnostic, but I'm not someone that's going to totally throw out the whole Christian faith, especially when I grew up in it. But if you see something like this happening and a bunch of people are dying and they need homes, and you call yourself a Christian man, you call your church a home, invite these people in. But of course, we know that men like Joel Osteen are phonies. They just want money. I mean, come on, like, who has a church where you can have 1,000 members? That doesn't seem right to me. A church to me is where it's literally a house, like a small house, the one that I live in, and you have maybe about 50 people, at best 75 people congregating, and it's basically a family. But you have 1,000 people. I don't see how you can have 1,000 people at a church. That does not seem close to me. It just seems like you just want as many followers as possible. So I never trusted Joel Osteen. My dad, I believe, is a fan of him, and after this he didn't seem to really feel as if that was enough to cancel Joel. But still, any man that owns a big ass church with 1,000 people, any church with like so many followers, you have to side eye it. Because I never looked at a church as, you know, having like a damn fucking town in it. Well, I mean, when I say a town, I mean like a whole ass city. Like, you know, like, I don't know. And I understand, like, we have small towns where, you know, it's about maybe 500 residents and everyone goes there. But I'm talking about in a big ass city, you got this one big ass church and you got like half the population there. It just seems weird to me. So I was never really into mega churches. I was never into big churches that look like fucking state of the art museums. I don't know. Call me old fashioned in that regard, but I don't know. And then in July, we have this comedian come on The Breakfast Club saying transphobic things. His name is Lil Duval. I've never heard of Lil Duval until The Breakfast Club. I actually thought that he was a rapper, Little Scrappy, one of those people. He kind of looks like him. So he was sitting up there talking with Charlemagne the God, Angela Yee, and DJ Envy. Last time that they had an interview, they had Janet Mock on the show, and Janet Mock is a trans black woman, and she was trying to educate Charlemagne and his co-host about what it's like to be a trans woman, and they try to make it into a joke or like a comedic relief. But Janet Mock was like, no, this is who I am, this is who a bunch of trans people are, you know, you're not going to use us as a joke. And they still try to undermine her experience. Well, Angela Yee seemed to have been the only one that was like, you know, I understand where you're coming from. Her being a cis woman, and I'm not sure her race. I believe that she's black and Asian because she is from Saint. I'm not going to get that. I don't want to mispronounce it, but she is of West Indian and Chinese descent, I believe. I believe her mom is West Indian. But she was the only one that was kind of like, yeah, you know, I don't fully understand what it's like to be a trans woman, but, you know, as a woman, I still want to have solidarity with you, so I'm not going to be making jokes about it. But Charlemagne and DJ Envy were straight up assholes to her. So then the next day, they bring on Lil Duval, and he's a comedian. So Charlemagne immediately asked him, if you were to date a fine young woman and you find out that she is trans, would you be upset? And I was really hoping he would not go there, but he did. Lil Duval said, well, if I find out that she's actually trans, that nigga got to die. You know, he referred to her as a nigga, and I know in a way, nigga can translate to all black people, but in certain cases like that, he meant it in a connotation that she is male. A lot of people say nigga to mean men, hence the whole distinction between niggas and bitches. Bitches are women and niggas are men. So that's what he meant, and he said a bunch of things that I do not want to repeat for my trans viewers or trans followers, because I do not want to trigger people like that, especially if I am not a part of the group where somebody can potentially get triggered and upset. You know, I don't like to bring up certain things that people go through, or I don't like to bring up certain genocidal acts that have happened in the past, because you never know. You could really trigger somebody, and you have to be sensitive. Just like when people bring up anti-blackness and slavery, some people just do not understand that some of us can get triggered, and here you are shoving pictures of men being lynched, women being burned at the stake, and you don't understand that as a black person, as an African American woman, that could really trigger me. It doesn't trigger me, but it could trigger other people. So I don't want to say everything that Lil Duval said, but it was disgusting, and people were saying they were going to boycott the Breakfast Club, which I did not personally believe, because regardless, you're going to watch something for entertainment. You ain't going to completely get something canceled. It's a fantasy, but it's just not realistic. Charlemagne basically tried to tell Lil Duval, you can't do that because it's a hate crime. He did say, oh no, that's a hate crime. But you still encouraged him. You still gave him a platform to say all those things. You did not say, oh no, you can't do this, end of discussion. No. You sat there and laughed. DJ Envy laughed. Angela Yee did not laugh, but you did not tell them to stop. You could have said, hey, we're not going to talk about this. We just had Janet Mock on our show the other day, and now you have a transphobe on the show, and you're giving him a platform. I feel like all of y'all were just as complicit, because for you to even bring that up, and you know who Lil Duval is. Lil Duval is one of those comedians that make these off-color jokes. Dave Chappelle, all of these black men, cis black men who make jokes about the queer community, black women, and even disabled people, and you want to ask them a question about, oh, how would you feel if you dated a trans woman? I had to unfollow and block certain people from high school, from middle school, from elementary school, because they were encouraging Lil Duval. One girl that I was particularly good friends with said that if you have to lie to a man about being cis, or if you she said basically that if you are a trans woman and you don't tell a man that you're trans, then you deserve to die. And she said it in a way where she clearly was not looking at the woman as a woman. But I blocked her because y'all sit there and say, oh, I just don't agree with this, blah, blah, blah. But let's say being trans, being gay is something that's debatable. Okay, but why would you say somebody needs to die? And somebody was saying, oh, well, that's rape because, you're not telling the man who you are, and he wouldn't have slept with you in the first place if he knew that you had a penis. First of all, not every trans woman has a penis. A lot of trans women go through procedures where they have a sex change, where they change their genitals or they turn it inside out. It's a procedure. So a lot of times, trans women who date cis men have already transitioned, and they do not feel the need to tell the man because there's no way for him to find out unless he tells him. And a lot of times it's just one night stands, and that's very dangerous for trans women to have because, men are stalkers. Men will, try to find ways to be associated with them, find their house. So it's very dangerous for a lot of trans women, but, it's nobody's business. And if you do feel the need to tell someone, tell them. But I just don't see why you need to tell somebody something as personal as, oh, hey, I have a penis, or hey, I'm trans. Because if you're not in a serious relationship with them, and a lot of times they don't plan on being in a serious relationship with those people, so they do not feel the need to tell them. I just don't understand. Y'all need to stop assuming that trans women or trans men or all genders have, the same genitals. Every gender, has this type of part, and that's just how it is, and that there's only two genders. Like, no. And then y'all just say the most ridiculous stuff, and y'all say we need to be progressive, but yet you promote people who are trash and say these awful things. And this is where I'm going to get into next. Cardi B. I've talked about Cardi B on here probably 4 or 5 times, and it hasn't been very favorable. I've talked to her on Twitter, and it's not been favorable. So I just want to say this. It's now November. Cardi B has calmed down a lot. She hasn't really been saying nothing stupid. She hasn't been trying to start nothing with people or search her name and bully females and say, oh, your pussy. Well, she did a couple of days ago, I think. Well, she said that some man's mama was ugly because he called her ugly. So instead of going after him, she decides to go after the mama. But I have not seen Cardi B act a fool in maybe a month or 2. She did get in trouble because she referred to Kim Jong-un, the dictator of, is it North Korea or South Korea? A dictator, wonton soup. And that's a that's an Orientalist slur. So people were upset because, I don't care if he's a dictator and he's anti-black, this affects all Chinese people, or this affects all Koreans, this affects all East Asians. And for you to say that, this harms your East Asian followers, which I agree, I I feel like y'all let Cardi B get away with damn near murder. But then when it comes to Azealia Banks, y'all have all these reasons as to why you don't want her to prosper. Oh, well, Azealia is just too problematic, and she said all these things to these people. I think the difference between Azealia and Cardi is that while Cardi just attacked random people, Azealia attacked specific people. And I get that. I get how y'all feel like, well, she attacked Sky Jackson and Zayn and all of these famous people, and she burned her bridges. I still think that's kind of fucked up. And I made a video a long time ago about Azealia, and she follows me now. The reason why she had followed me, because I said, I agree, it's definitely misogynoir for them to keep suspending you when you're not doing anything except promoting soaps and promoting your music to your fans. I think that's an act of bullying if you're sitting here trying to interact with your fans and say, hey, if I get to this amount of followers, then I'm going to release my single, and you have a bunch of fans looking forward to that, but then here's somebody that wants to get you suspended right when you're about to reach your 10,000 follower mark so you can release that single. I thought that was just absolutely ridiculous. And Azealia was basically excited that there was more people seeing where she was coming from. And at first I thought, I still believe that you came at me all wrong, that you were disrespectful when I just made an opinion about how I'm not going to support somebody who just does not seem to understand the error of their ways. But once we followed each other, I noticed that Azealia does have similar beliefs and ideals as I do. She is very passionate about womanism and issues towards dark-skinned women. It's just how she says things. She says it in a way where she tries to be funny, she tries to be crass, and it just comes off wrong. And she did apologize for her past remarks. She apologized to Sky Jackson. She apologized to Zayn. She realized that she was just... She took it too far, and she understood that she crossed the line. She did an interview with Galore magazine about it, and a lot of people said, you sound very sincere about it, and I hope this is a new leaf for you, and I hope 2017 is your year. So I do support Azealia Banks, but I feel both Azealia and Cardi have said and done things that were fucked up, that were ignorant, but yet people want Cardi B to win because I don't know if it's because she's light skinned or if it's because she's mixed. That's what Azealia Banks has said. That's what I tend to believe. I tend to believe that the reason why a lot of y'all like Cardi B is because she's light skinned. I personally do like some of her music. I'm not a hater of her songs. I'm not someone that's like, fuck her music. I'm not somebody that has a problem with her music. I actually do like Bodak Yellow. I do like her Gangsta Bitch Volume series. The problem is, Cardi B, compared to other female rappers, is mediocre, and I don't think that she's a bad rapper. After listening to her previous songs, she can rap. I was just thinking, like, okay, she goes from a reality star to a random rapper, that's very jarring to me. I was jarred when I heard stripper hoe and thought, oh, well, I mean, it's not the best. It's not the best, that's what I thought. But after re-listening to it, I thought, okay, Cardi B has bars. And I feel if Cardi B had just came out as a rapper and not a comedian and a reality star, then I would have thought about her rapping career different. But Azealia feels like Cardi B can be mediocre. Cardi B can have some weak-ass bars in some cases or punchlines. And it's, awesome because people want her to win. But yet people don't have the same feelings towards Azealia, and it doesn't make any sense because Cardi B is from the hood, Azealia is from the hood, they are both from New York, they are both from areas that have historically been for low-income African Americans or Afro-Latinx immigrants. And for y'all to say, well, Cardi B can say certain things because she's ignorant, she grew up poor, and she was a stripper, that's classist, and that's just evading all responsibility for light-skinned women who have said violent things towards darker-skinned women. Cardi B, as I've mentioned before, referred to a girl as a burnt roach. Now, Azealia Banks have said similar things to dark-skinned girls, but that wasn't in the context that Cardi B used. Cardi B deliberately looked at a picture of a girl and said, "You looking like a burnt roach," whereas Azealia Banks told a girl, "Hey, if I'm an embarrassment to black women and you feel ashamed of being a black woman, the only thing I can tell you is to bleach your skin." And although that was terrible to say, Azealia was just being hypothetical. She was saying, "Hey, you don't like your skin, you don't like the way that you look, okay, then bleach your skin. Go and be white." Cardi B just said, "Fuck your skin color. You look ugly. Not go bleach your skin, but you looking like a burnt ass roach." Making fun of people's filters, making fun of the way that they look, calling them monkeys. This was something that Cardi B did for years. I've had people back in 2015 tell me Cardi B used to call girls burnt and dark all the time at her local strip club. And she would always have a problem with darker skinned strippers. She would get into beefs, she would get into fights. That's what I heard. I don't want to say that it's true, but looking back at it, I believe it. It makes sense. It seems like Cardi B is the type to brag about being a red bone, and then when she's called out on it, we're all jealous. We don't like the way that she gets attention from all the men. I like I said, Cardi B hasn't really been saying nothing stupid for the past few months, and neither has Azealia. So I want these women to prosper. I think both women are talented at what they do. I think we need more female rappers, and I do think Cardi B has a place in hip hop. I don't necessarily agree with Azealia when she says that Cardi B does not have that black girl flavor to her. She believes because Cardi B is Latina that she's not black, or she believes that Cardi B is more Latina than black, when to me, Cardi B is both. Cardi B speaks in Afro-Dominican vernacular. She is Afro-Trini, and she is assimilated into African-American culture. Therefore, Cardi B to me is not any different than an African-American girl. She's not any different than a light-skinned African-American girl. So the issue is not her ethnicity. I do agree with Azealia when she says a lot of black men do exotify Cardi B, do see her as this, mixed Latinx girl who speaks Spanish. I agree with that, but I don't have a problem with the fact that the bitch speaks Spanish. I don't fucking care. That's just as much black culture as African American culture. And we have always blended West African influence in with Latin American culture, with Caribbean culture, and yes, US American culture or Canadian American culture. Canadian, well, that is technically North American culture, okay? Yeah, and she did say some things about Cardi that I did not really agree with either. She was saying you're a hoe, or she implied that she was nothing but a fuck toy, and basically attacking her looks and saying that she's only good for her looks, which I don't like when people say things like that. It sounds misogynistic, but Cardi B is not really a victim here because she said the same thing. So, Cardi, if you want to call yourself yellow bone, bodak yellow, red bone, then expect people to critique that. Expect people to say, Cardi B, you want to be the exotic Spanish girl, you want to be different from the black girls, then that's just what it is, because you have always tried to make yourself a little bit different. And if that's your culture, fine, but don't sit there and say you're different from other black people, but then when we point that out, then you got a problem, then you black and you black. No, they don't work that way. But yeah, Cardi, I don't know. Black people choose who to support and then choose who to not support. If you're going to support Cardi B, fine, but then don't sit here and say Azealia Banks is all types of trash, but you pretty much let a woman get away with calling trans women the T slur, calling men faggots, calling trans men pussies and all of that. Like, it don't make any sense. I'm making anti-Semitic comments. Cardi B, I don't understand. I think because y'all look at Azealia Banks as more educated, that Azealia Banks should know better, which I don't understand at all. I feel like y'all put these high standards on darker skinned girls, but especially dark skinned girls that you look at as more educated or more privileged than a light skinned person, and for some reason that seems to garner a lot of resentment in people when they see a darker skinned person being educated on something and they being told, no, I have to be light skinned to be this, and light skinned people are smarter. And then when you see a darker skinned person, especially a woman who knows something that you don't, a lot of black people tend to get threatened by that. And everything that they were taught is just bullshit to them. Oh, I'm a man and I should know this, and oh, I'm light skinned and I should be talented and I should get all of these awards and all of these accolades, all of that. And then here's Azealia Banks, who's clearly so talented and rivals so many rappers, like, how dare she? And let's put a high standard on her so we can have a reason to not like her when she fucks up. And I do see that a lot. I do see a lot of envy from certain black people at certain groups of people who are looked at as more educated or looked at as smarter, but then they tend to be subordinate to them, like they are not men, but they are gay men, or they are gay women, or they are black women, trans women, they are dark skinned, and it's like they feel that they are being shown up by these lesser black people. And I feel that's how people feel about Azealia, that she shows a lot of them up and they don't want to admit it. But that's all I have to say for this. That's just my opinion. Do you agree or do you disagree that there are some black people that have a crabs in a bucket mentality and just want to bring down certain black people that they feel are above them and that can pretty much call people's bullshit out, and they don't want it to happen because these are black people that they feel are less than them and beneath them? Do you agree? I don't really like how crabs in the bucket is used, because usually when people say that, they say it to mean don't talk shit about light-skinned people, don't call out their colorism, because you're just being a crab in a bucket and you want to pull their success down. I feel that can be used in that manner. But I believe a crab in a bucket mentality is where you don't want dark-skinned people to rise above you. You don't want black women to rise above you. You don't want gay people to rise above you. You just want cis-het black men and the occasional light-skinned woman to be on top. But anybody else, they think they better than us. How dare they? They act white. They act this. Fuck you. I believe it. Some of it. Now let's get to this whole situation with the roommates. This happened last week, but a girl who goes by Jazzy Rowe did an hour-long live video on Facebook about what her ex-roommate put her through. And long story short, her roommate had been poisoning her because her roommate did not like her. She did not like the fact that she was Jamaican. I don't know Jazzy's ethnicity. I think Jazzy may be African American, and the girl was just stereotyping her because she has dark skin and kinky hair and wears braids and dreadlocks. A lot of times the people associate that with being Jamaican. Because I've never heard Jazzy say that she was Jamaican. I think maybe the girl was just calling her that just to be a cunt. But yeah, Jazzy finds out that the girl was rubbing her dirty tampons on her backpack in places where she couldn't see, spitting in her coconut oil, using moldy clam dip in her face lotion so she can rub it all over her face and break out, rubbing her toothbrush up her anus or pussy, I'm assuming up her anus, and just doing all this foul stuff to her to the point where Jazzy nearly died. She got so sick that her throat was clogging up. She had bacteria in her throat, and she went to the doctors and they couldn't find out what the issue was. Jazzy only found out because their RA and her next door roommate came to her room when she was moving out. She eventually moved out because before then, she got the sense that her roommate did not like her. She would try to share her food with her. She would offer her things. She would say, hey, you can use my microwave. She tried to be the best roommate that she could, but the white girl basically said, no, I don't fuck with you. You black, or I just don't like you. And when she was moving out, the girl immediately started texting on her phone, and Jazzy assumed that she was just telling her friends, yay, my roommate is moving out. But then we find out that no, she was telling her friends on Facebook and Instagram that she finally ran her roommate out and told everyone all the details of how she poisoned her roommate. And her RA came and told her what was going on because everyone saw it on Facebook and Instagram and thought, oh my God, that's fucked up. Like, why would you do such a thing? So I'm so glad that somebody was decent enough to report something like that. I'm glad because I feel if I were in that situation, I would not have had that support, at least as a freshman in college. Because I never had a lot of friends, and I feel for Jazzy because you can be nice to people all you want. You can say, hey, how are you? You can have a sweet, friendly face. But at the end of the day, if someone doesn't like you or doesn't want to fuck with you, they're not going to fuck with you, and they will do anything to put you down or to screw you over. And that just shows to young girls in college or girls in high school, especially black girls, that you can be the perfect person, you can be the prettiest person, you can have everything going on for yourself, but if people don't like you or they're jealous, then they will try to make you feel less than. And I feel that was the situation with her roommate where she was jealous of her. She referred to her as a Jamaican Barbie. She could have said something like the Jamaican bitch, but she called her a Barbie. So we know how the roommate felt about Jazzy. Jazzy is a very pretty girl, pretty natural hair, just gorgeous all around. Like, she has a pageant winner smile. Like, she's like, basically, she would be like Miss Indiana, Miss Black Indiana, or Miss Black America. Like, she's just that type of person. You can tell that, she's a very outgoing and popular girl. And, here's her dowdy ass roommate, who just doesn't have a friendly bone in her, and that just looks at her like, and let's fuck her over. Then we find out that her roommate tried to do dreads, and I say try because they look like shit. She tried to braid hair, and it's like, okay, so you're a racist, but yeah, you want to do dreads, you want to do hair. Okay, now I see why you were attacking Jazzy, because she could do everything that you can't do. And it's very sad because I've been in a situation of bullying before, never to this extent, but I grew up in a white school, in a white neighborhood, and I've had white girls just say mean things to me, and I didn't understand why. I thought, why? Am I ugly? Am I, I don't know, is my hair fucked up? And black girls would do the same thing to me, like just pick on me and be mean. Like, people of all races would pick on me, and I thought, what's wrong with me? Must be something wrong with me, but seeing this situation with Jazzy, people are just going to be mean because people are nasty, people are cruel, people are evil, people just are jealous. I think people will look at you and say, oh, she thinks she's cute, or how dare she dress like this, and they will try to bring you down. And that's what I was talking about in my last segment, about how when it comes to being a black girl, people don't like the fact that you are ahead of them. They don't like the fact that you're smart or that you're attractive and that you're everything that they feel that you shouldn't be. And I'm not trying to put a value on education or looks, but I just feel like people who do will get mad when black people surpass those expectations. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying being educated is a good thing or like is something that you should be, that you have to be. I'm not saying that looks matter. I'm just saying people put a value on education, good looks, being from certain neighborhoods, and then when a black person is from there, especially a dark-skinned black girl, they get mad because, oh, you're not supposed to be from this neighborhood. You're not supposed to be of this education. You're not supposed to look like that. Your hair is not supposed to be so cute. Your 4C hair ain't supposed to be so pretty. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck your nappy-headed ass. And I feel people are told that you have to be white and light-skinned to be successful, to be rich, or to be from a good background. And you have a lot of white people that say, well, I'm poor. White privilege does not exist. Or you have light-skinned people say, I grew up in the hood. Light-skinned privilege does not exist because I'm not rich. But the thing is, they watch TV, they read the history books, and they learn that so many people like them had privilege just because of their skin color, and they resent that they don't live in that privilege. And that's why you have people have this war between class and race and say, well, class is worse than race issues because, there are so many poor whites and poor light skins and poor non-blacks, and obviously black privilege is a thing because we have Will Smith and Jada Smith around, and we have Viola Davis and Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, and all of those people. And it's just ridiculous that people just seem very envious of other people just because they have something that they want. And I understand if you're going to resent somebody who is a piece of shit and uses their privilege or power against you, yes. But if you're just mad because, oh, I don't like the fact that this black girl's smarter than me, that she is prettier than me, in your opinion, you're bitter. You're a piece of shit. I don't understand. And I hope that girl, her roommate, Jazzy's roommate, gets sentenced to at least maybe a year or so in jail. People say, oh, that's harsh. But hey, you try to kill your roommate. That was attempted murder. You should get 5 years of jail maximum. And people say, oh, she better not do community service. I just don't know. They probably not going to do shit to the girl. But if it were a black girl or a brown Latinx kid or a black guy that did that or someone that wasn't white doing that, oh my God. They probably would have gone 10 years in jail for that. That don't make any sense. What else do I have to say? I don't want to do this video too long. I don't want to okay, so almost, I can't see. I don't have my glasses. Oh, 35 fucking minutes. Well, let me try to get to 40 minutes and then I'll turn this off. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is body shaming. A lot of people have been talking about body shaming lately, and it's something that I don't particularly like discussing because it's always filled with intellectual dishonesty. It's filled with people saying, woe is me, I didn't get a lot of attention from boys in high school, therefore I have issues. And I understand I didn't get attention from boys in high school. I was considered monkey face. I was considered nappy headed. I was considered too dark. Okay, I went to a white school, of course, so of course perceptions differ. But, that's not necessarily correlating to your being oppressed. Now, I'm oppressed because I'm brown skinned, because I'm black, and I got made fun of for those features in high school. But you're saying that because you're skinny or thin and people made fun of you, that it's the same thing as being thick, plus size, and fat. It's not. And I'm not saying we cannot talk about body issues, body image for thin people. I understand that. We can talk about how it's hard to be thin and hard to gain weight, and you trying to improve your health because you're considered underweight or you suffer from anorexia, nervosia, bulimia. I understand that. But when a lot of thin people speak of skinny shaming or body shaming in terms of trying to gaslight large women, I will shut them up. I don't want to hear it. Kimberly and Foster, who I was following, and then I had to unfollow her because she was basically attacking Nicki Minaj and saying Nicki Minaj's body is pretty much the manifestation of black male fantasy, straight black male fantasy, and that's why she got plastic surgery. I mean, I don't know why Nicki got surgery done. I don't even know if she really got surgery or not because she never said she did. Maybe it should be obvious to some people, but I don't give a fuck. Nicki Minaj is a pretty woman. I just stuttered. Minaj. Nicki Minaj is a pretty woman. She's always been a pretty woman. So I don't care if she got surgery or not. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with Nicki Minaj's surgery outside of jealousy. Because Nicki, regardless, has always been beautiful to me. Maybe I have a soft spot because some people say I look like her before the surgery. So obviously Nicki Minaj was gorgeous before the surgery. But no, but leave Nicki Minaj out of your mouth. A lot of y'all just really hate Nicki. People were attacking Nicki all day because we find out that Jelani Mirage, her brother, was guilty of raping a 13-year-old girl. So what did people do? They used that as a way to attack Nicki, who had absolutely nothing to do with it. She didn't even testify in his trial. They said that she wanted to, but no, her team confirmed no, she will not be anywhere near that trial. Just leave Nicki Minaj alone. Keep her out of your mouth. You sound like a hater. But that's not why I unfollowed Kimberly. Well, actually, I did unfollow her for that because how are you going to get caught body shaming another woman body shaming Remy Ma and Nicki Minaj both. And then when you're called out on it because you made a video about body shaming and you're looked at as a hypocrite, you delete all those tweets. You do some little machine, you go on this machine and you delete all your tweets except your most recent ones. It makes you look like a fraud. It makes you look like a phony. If you cannot own up to your past problematic past or your past problematic tweets, then you're fake to me. But she tried to say being a larger black woman in the black community is a standard. It's more accepted that black people like larger black women and shame skinny women, which I agree. I agree. A lot of people will say, look at this twig, look at this no booty bitch. But one thing that I noticed is that there is still a thing called fat shaming in the black community, and the black community is very fat phobic. People will sit there and make fun of thick women because, oh, their butt is too flabby. Oh, they got cellulite. They got a fat cellulite ass. Oh, they got a big belly. They big bodied. I heard terms like big body before. Women that are thick with big booties are considered hoes. They are considered people to fuck, but not marry. And all these black rom-com movies, a lot of thin women, and they're considered thin to me. Like, Dashka Polanco is not a thin woman. She's curvy. But a thin woman to me would be like Nicole Murphy, who has a big booty, but she's thin. So you're still a thin person with a big booty and wide hips. But a lot of women pretend as if being slim is such a bad thing in the black community, when really you just want some type of sympathy and attention. You don't like the fact that a lot of thick women get attention. So you want to pretend that you get shamed just so people can say, oh, I prefer skinny women over thick women. Fuck those big body bitches. And that's why I don't pay attention to it a lot of times, because it's just sympathy. It's just people wanting attention for all the wrong reasons. It's just vanity reasons. You don't see me encouraging people to gain weight or lose weight just because if it's your body, do what you want. But I'm not going to encourage people to change their looks just because it's a trend. No one gave a shit about being thick until recently, because now you see more black girls who have a thicker or curvier body type being represented. It used to be people like Karrueche getting all the attention. And I like Karrueche, but this is what started this whole thing, where Karrueche said that being skinny was never in, which is not true. Your body is ideal. And Karrueche has always been looked at as, this girl next door, this black girl that people use to say, oh, black girls are pretty, but only if you're mixed and light-skinned with long hair. And she was exactly that example. So I don't know why people act like Karrueche is the standard of not being represented enough, especially with her body type. That's the reason why she's here, because she started off as a model, and now she is an acclaimed TV actress from her show Claws, and I'm proud of her. But I'm just not here for this whole skinny people have it hard, thin people have it hard, and they think that I'm sick, they think that I'm anorexic, they think that I have a mental illness when I don't. Like, well, thank you. You're looking at this slim, thick, weirdly shaped girl that's, not really plus size, but not skinny either or not thin, who was actually sick in high school, who actually had an eating disorder, who was actually skinny at 15 because I wasn't eating a lot and I was making myself throw up. So, I mean, hey, like, I don't feel sorry for able-bodied skinny people that are like complaining because they didn't like get enough attention in high school, or they don't like the fact that a girl with a fat ass is getting attention from Tyreek and they feel that she took all the attention from him. How about agency? We don't talk a lot about this, but how about agency? If a man doesn't want to date you, then he's not going to date you, and you can't force him to date you. And it's not the same thing as saying, I don't want a man to disrespect my existence because I'm dark skinned or because I'm fat, and I want him to respect me for who I am. No, it's like, don't get mad at the fact that a man doesn't want to date you because he prefers a thick, dark-skinned girl with a big booty, and then cry about it. That's what I'm saying. You can say, oh, it's disrespectful how men knock our existence because we don't look a certain way, but if it's just you're complaining that he doesn't like you, then I don't know what to say about that. I don't want to have a discussion about why a man don't like you or why you can't get attention because it's stupid. Men all the time will say some dumb shit to me like I don't like you. I'm not into you. And I like girls with thin noses. I like girls with greasy hair. Like I get dumb shit from men all the time, and I have men being weird to me and saying, "Ooh, I like you because you a yellow bone," or "I like that you light skin," and I don't pay attention to those men. Like I get men saying all types of shallow stuff to me, and I don't mess with those men because those men aren't my type. I'm not into men who are color struck or who disrespect fat women or plus size women or dark skinned women or women with nappy hair or hair that they consider bad. So I mean, it's just you need to understand there's a difference between calling out Eurocentric beauty privilege or beauty privilege in general, or like this whole idea of how we place value on a certain body type over others. You have to understand there's a difference between calling that out and you're just trying to look for the approval of men, sitting there saying, "Oh, I want to gain weight so I can get a sexy body so men can like me and women can be jealous." I'm not helping you with that. That's like you walking into a karate class or a self-defense class and telling the instructor, "Oh, show me how I can kick this bitch's ass." Bitch, they will send you out and say, "Clearly you are not here for the right reasons. Leave until you want to come back to learn and not just because you want to beat somebody up." It's the same thing with working out or the same thing with wearing makeup or wanting plastic surgery. If you're going to tell me, "Oh, I want to look a certain way just so I can compete with Kim K or so I can compete with Beyonce or Keisha down the street," sweetie, bye. I don't got time for that. I'm not going to help you try to take another bitch's shine. Be yourself. And that's all I have to say for now. Bye.